Before this sentence ends, you will blink. You can't stop it. You never could. 15,000 times every single day, and every single time, for just a fraction of a second, your world goes dark. You always assume nothing happened in that darkness, but you were wrong. Dr. Daniel Cole figured out what lives inside the blink, and this is what it cost him: the blink. Dr. Daniel Cole had been a psychiatrist for 14 years. He worked out of a small private practice in Portland, the third floor of a gray building on Morrison Street. Quiet neighborhood, quiet patients, and quiet life. He knew how people behaved. He knew how eyes moved, how hands fidgeted, how someone looked when they were lying, and how they looked when they were telling the truth and couldn't bear it. He thought he had seen everything, but he was wrong. It started on a Wednesday afternoon in his waiting room. 5 patients, all sitting, all strangers to each other. Daniel was walking past the glass partition when it happened. All 5 of them blinked at the same time. Not roughly the same time, not close, but exactly the same time. Like a single switch had been flipped somewhere behind all 5 pairs of eyes. Daniel stopped walking. He stood behind the glass and stared. They didn't look at each other. They were not connected. One was scrolling on his phone. One was filling out intake paperwork. One was staring at the TV in the corner playing cable news on mute. But 20 seconds later, they all blinked again. Together, one motion, one moment, 5 people. Daniel pressed his hands flat against the wall. He told himself it was a coincidence. He almost believed it. The next day he watched more carefully, not just the waiting room, everywhere. His receptionist and the FedEx guy blinking in the sink across the front desk. 2 strangers at a crosswalk on Burnside. He could see them through his car window. Same blink, same second. A family of 4 at a Danny's car mid-conversation. All 4 eyes closing and opening like an organism. He started timing it. He bought a small notebook from the wall lanes on the corner. Every time he witnessed it, he wrote down the time, the number of people, and the location. By the end of the first week, he had 43 entries. By the end of second week, over 200. The interval was never random. Every 17 to 23 seconds, every person near him blinked at the same moment. Every single one. He told his colleague, Dr. Sarah Nowak, over lunch at the sandwich place across the street. They had been friends since their residency at OSU. She listened politely. She had the look he himself used with the patients, the careful, neutral, don't alarm them face. Daniel, you have been working 70-hour weeks. Daniel replied, That's not what this is. She said, Synchronized blinking is impossible. Eyes are independent. There is no mechanism. Daniel said, I have 216 documented instances. She looked at his notebook and she looked at it again. Have you been sleeping? He closed the notebook. Just sat here for 30 seconds and watched the room. 30 seconds passed. She said, I don't see anything. Daniel looked at the room. The blinking happened. He saw it clearly. 8 people, same second. Right here, all of them. Sarah watched his face the way he watched patients' faces. That was the moment he understood he was alone in this, because Sarah couldn't see anything. He set up a laptop camera in the waiting room that Friday. He told his receptionist it was a new security system. He waited 3 days, then watched the footage at his kitchen table in the northeast Portland at midnight. A cold cup of coffee going stale beside him. He fast-forwarded through hours of footage, and then he stopped. He played it again and again and again. The camera had not caught a single synchronized blink. On screen, every person blinked independently, randomly, normally. Daniel sat back in his chair. He pressed his palms against his eyes. Either the camera was missing something his eyes could catch, or his eyes were showing him something that wasn't there. He said to himself and wrote it on the notebook. Am I the patient? He didn't stop watching. He couldn't, because the more he watched, the more he noticed it wasn't just the blinking. In that shared half second when every eye around him closed, something else happened. Something small. The air changed, not temperature, not pressure. Something he had no word for. A shift, a thickness, like the world took one quiet breath that no one talked about. And people's expressions, just for that half second while their eyes were closed, moved. Not much. The corner of a mouth, a twitch near the jaw, a tension in the forehead that was gone the instant their eyes opened again. Like something passed through their faces while the lights were off. Something that wasn't them. His Thursday afternoon patient was a man named Ray Walton, retired postal worker, 61 years old, originally from Boise, Idaho. Ray had been referred for paranoid ideation. He believed people were being used without their knowledge. Daniel had been treating him for 6 weeks, gently, carefully, but on this particular Thursday, Daniel sat down, opened the file, and Ray said something that stopped him cold. You see it too now, don't you, Doc? Not a question. Daniel kept his face still, professional, 14 years of practice. See what, Mr. Ray? The blank. Daniel set his pen down very carefully. I've been watching it for 2 years. My daughter said I was losing it. My buddy at the VA said the same. Maybe I am, but you are watching it too, Doc. I can tell because you don't blink with them. Everyone blinks together, Ray said quietly. Everyone except you and me. Daniel asked him, How long have you known? Daniel asked. Ray replied, Since the day I stopped blinking with them. And when was that? The day I started actually looking, Ray replied. They met at a coffee shop some hours later. Something was wrong, and Daniel knew. Against every professional rule he had followed for 14 years, he didn't care anymore. Ray had a theory, and he had been building it for 2 years on yellow legal pads in his garage in southeast Portland. Ray said, We assume blinking is just moisture, keeping the eye wet, a reflex, nothing more. It is, Daniel said. Then Ray said, Then why do we blink way more than we need to? The eye needs 8 to 10 blinks a minute to stay lubricated. Most people blink 15 to 20, almost double what's necessary. What are the extra blinks for? Daniel had no answer. Every time you blink, there is a moment of darkness, just a fraction of a second. Your brain fills it in, stitches the world back together so smoothly that you don't even notice the gap. So what is your brain actually doing during that gap? What if it isn't filling the darkness? What if it's receiving something? And what if something figured out how to use the gap? That tiny invisible window when every eye in the world shuts at once. What gets in during that blink, Doc? Tell me, Doc, what gets in during that blink? That night, Daniel sat in his apartment and forced himself not to blink because of the conversation he had with Ray. He stared at the wall, his eyes burned, 30 seconds, a minute, his vision blurred at the edges. At 90 seconds, against his will, he blinked. And in that half second of darkness, he felt it. Not saw, not heard, just felt a presence, a pressure, something slipping past him in the dark, the way a stranger brushes your shoulder in a crowd and is gone before you can turn around. He gasped and grabbed the edge of his desk. His heart was slamming. He looked at his hands, solid, real. He looked at the room, normal. But he knew. He had felt it. There was something in the blink. Ray called him at 2 a.m. His voice was different, flat. The gravel in it was gone. "I know what it's doing," Daniel said. "Ray, it's 2 in the morning." But Ray said, "It's reading us. Every blink, every gap, it moves through the darkness between one moment and the next. It reads us like pages. It knows everything. Our fears, our memories, our weak spots, because we had it all over every time we close our eyes." Daniel asked, "Why, Ray?" Ray replied, "Because it's waiting. It's been waiting for a very long time, and it's almost ready." "Ready? Ready for what, Mr. Ray?" Silence on the line. "Ready for what? Answer me." "The long blink," Ray said. "The one we don't wake up from." And the line went dead. Daniel called Ray's number 17 times over the next 2 days, but no one was answering the phone. On the 3rd day, he drove to the address in the file, a blue house with a flag on the porch in southeast Portland. A woman answered the door, and it was Ray's daughter, Kelly. She said her dad was fine. He was inside. He was calm and well. Honestly, she was so relieved. The therapy had really helped, she said. She called him to the door. Ray stood there in a clean flannel shirt. He smiled at Daniel. "Doc, good to see you." Something was wrong. Not his face, not his words, but his eyes. They were calm, completely calm. The frantic, burning, searching look that Ray always carried. The look of a man who couldn't stop watching the world was just gone, like someone had turned a dial all the way down. "Mr. Ray, what was it you figured out the other night on the phone?" "I don't know what you mean, Doc." "I mean the blink, the theory, the long." "I think you have been under a lot of stress, Doc." His daughter nodded beside him, genuinely concerned. Daniel looked at both of them, and in the same second, they both blinked. They found Daniel's notebook 4 months later. He had been admitted to Providence Medical Center Psychiatric Unit in Portland, referred by a colleague, Dr. Sarah Nowak, for acute paranoid ideation. The last page had one paragraph, written over and over in shrinking handwriting, until the letters were almost too small to read. "Don't blink. If you stop blinking, you can see what comes through, but you can't stop forever. No one can stop forever. And the second you close your eyes, it knows you have been watching, and it comes for you first. Don't blink. Don't blink. Don't blink. Don't." The page ended here. The nurses said he slept very well now, very deeply, no dreams, and every morning when they checked on him, He woke up calm and rested and smiling, just like everyone else. And right now, as we finish this without even thinking about it, your eyes are about to blink. And now you know what's waiting on the other side.